Hi, my name's No Sheds. I'm just now YouShubes on Spurs video podcast. Obviously today, things do move fast. Yesterday we announced Boas, and today we announced the signing of Gilfi Sigurdsson. I'm really bad pronouncing his name. This is going to be interesting. I think he is probably going to be a very, what I call a long-term replacement for Rafa van der Vaart. I only saw two of his games. The game against Fulham, the way he played for Swansea, they won 3-0. And the game against us, when he showed such confidence shooting left and right foot. Actually, reminds me of a young Schneider. Actually, I mean, having the confidence to shoot with both feet, can pick up a pass, good anticipation, good movement, able to find the space, to take shot, which is a good thing. Could put a decent cross in, but don't worry, Spurs fans, that's gonna go. Trust me, But I think if anything, as we say hello to Sigurdsson, we say goodbye not to Van der Vaart but to Bentley. The Bentley, meant to have be the new Beckham. Can cross the ball, can shoot it. But unfortunately, he was never mobile enough, and probably never showed the work rate or effort that we needed for him to show. And so there was a very good article about him, and that said that when he was 20, they started to take a penalty at Liverpool. 20 years old. Now, obviously Liverpool weren't playing their strongest team. There was no Pepe Reina in goal, but tell a 20-year-old kid that take a penalty. We get this. We've equalised. And he did it. He's a player, but I think quite mentally strong, and has got confidence. And I think, no disrespect to Swansea, I think we're a very good side, and I want to see what they do now going forward. I think he can be a very good player for us. It'll be interesting what formation they do. As many of you guys know, I like the 4-2-3-1 formation. I think that is probably the best formation for us right now. And I can see him challenge. I think he'll get there ahead of Lennon, I think. Lennon has, I won't say gone to the comfort zone, because I think he's a very hard-working player. And people think, oh, Lennon's lazy. He's not. I don't think he is. I think he's just a player that, for whatever reasons, when pushed, he really excels. But he can find himself in a comfort zone, which is very fair for a lot of players. In terms of Luka Modric, I don't see us selling him. Obviously, this is one thing that, and again, I'm going to pose a question to you. I like guys saying Moutinho, and if you know more about this than I do, I'm going to go with my mate Kevin G. First of all, shout out to Eggsy, because I forgot to give you a shout out, and yesterday video, I'm going to give you a shout out today, because I'm so sorry I forgot. But my mate Kevin G might be able to tell me, because he knows more about Portuguese football than I do anyway. When he went to Porto, was there like a deal that said, you know what, we want 30 million for the manager, but you can't actually sign any of our players? So like players like Hulk, Falcao, any of those guys, you can't actually go in and bid for them. Very similar to what Brendan Rodgers has at Liverpool. He can't go in for any Swansea players, not within the first year. That's something, because when Chelsea tried to sign Luka, obviously didn't happen. Why not go for Moutinho? And if Moutinho is the player that we're linking now, why wouldn't you have gone for him last year? That's something that, if you need a metronome style passer, which I remember when I first heard about Moutinho, he's apparently like Ozzy kind of style passer, which, let's face it, Luka is. Ozzy kind of passer, short and long range passing. And always passing, looking to pass, play a forward pass, doing the solid, if not the spectacular. I always think if Ozzy and Ricky were like, I think Luka and Rafa are like our generation's Ozzy and Ricky, But why wouldn't you have gone for him? That's something I just don't get. Something. Sigurdsson, there's some really good things about him. He'll take a shot. In various bits, I think he was wanting not to replace Rafa. I think combination of he can push Rafa. Let's face it, the only competition we had for Rafa was Nico. I think I thought Nico was an excellent player. I'll tell you honest, I thought he was an excellent player. And I don't care what Miss P says, he was the most handsome Spurs player we've had in a long time. But he was. I don't know. I just don't see. I can see him pushing Rafa a lot. And if you saw, he's not a speed merchant, but I don't think you have to be. I think you have to have that kind of player that can press, passing, constantly moving. And I think Nico, in say a slower league like the Italian league or where there isn't that emphasis on high pressing and that kind of stuff, constantly physically in face, not in someone's face, but pressing high, constantly moving, that perpetual motion kind of thing, then I think he'd do fantastically in our league. And the way we play that high pressing game, I think that's what you need to be doing, and therefore I think Sigurdsson's a perfect player for that. He can use both feet, so I can see him playing in any of that three, in that 4-2-3-1. So I think he's an excellent signing. And whether Villas-Boas was linked with that, I cannot imagine that. Obviously we're linked with him. Obviously there's a lot of talk about sharing a vision and stuff like that, but I don't think I cannot help but think he would have been someone that Villas-Boas would have wanted. If you look at him, he's very similar to Frank Lampard in many respects. Passing, good movement, not the quickest, but gets goals and is always in the right place for the right time. So I think there's a lot of hand in Villas-Boas. And apparently, if you listen to TalkSport, Vickery was saying that Villas-Boas is actually in Brazil, Argentina, Chile. And one of the things that, I don't know, maybe he was on holiday, who wouldn't be? Brazil's a beautiful place. Fala Brasil. But looking at players like Oscar. Now, Oscar, for those of you who don't know, he plays at International, the club that we have a link with. And he's saying, well, why Vickery was saying, why would they sell him before the Olympics? First of all, we could have a terrible Olympics, he could get injury, God knows what could happen. Or we could have a great Olympics, his rocket body could shoot up. Either way, I think one thing they've noticed, I think with the International anyway, they said, look, some players that you would have looked at, if they had a good Euros, their value would have doubled, like Moutinho, his value's gone up because of the Euros. Jagoev, his value's gone up because of the Euros. Some players that might not have that. They play as much. They might not say values go down, but in the interim period, if the value doesn't go up, it's a huge risk. It's better to have a sure thing, and have if he makes, appearances for in Brazil, in the World Cup, that kind of stuff, we get extra consideration. If that was the case, that'd be the case. I like that deal a lot more. I like Tom Carroll. Those you know, I'm a huge Tom Carroll fan. I think he's an excellent player. But someone like Oscar, very talented. He's got some caps from Brazil. Him and Sandro. I mean, though, as part of the double pivot. And then we've got Luka and Parker as part of the double pivot. I mean, let's face it, we are about buying young players. That being said, though, we shouldn't overlook older players. We have terrible country for overlooking older players. Look at Pirlo, a proper Renaissance man, almost took Italy to win the European Championship. So let's not dismiss players because of their age, And I think you need a combination, a balance between experience and youth, Yes, I remember you said you don't win anything with kids, and you know what? There is truth in that, but look at the players that are around though. Even here, Beckham, Scholes, and Neville. You still have players there that you had your Roy Keanes, you had your Steve Bruce, or Gary Pallisters. You still had a core of very experienced players around those players. So I wouldn't dismiss it out of hand. In terms of what but going on for Sigurdsson, I think an excellent signing. He's not a replacement. I think he's a replacement for Nico and Bentley, and it'll be interesting to see what happens next. I think we've got the best of both Nico and Bentley in Sigurdsson. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, and hopefully with a bit more movement and a bit more, off the ball play, which Nico really wouldn't have offered us. And I'm not saying he's going to be offering us in midfield. I don't think he's a centre midfielder. I think he's more of an attacking player. But definitely, I think he'll press, and when he loses the ball, he will fight for it. He'll say, "Oh, I've lost the ball." He won't tackle. He's not a great tackler, as his stats have shown, but he's mentally strong enough to do that. So it'll be interesting. Anyway, as always, shouts out to the guys at Spurs Forum, Cage. If you don't know him, top guy, set up Spurs Forum, 7 years ago? One of the best Spurs message boards you can get. Shouts out to Jez, Miss P, who, I don't care what you say, Miss P. Nico is the most handsome player we've had. Mel, Debs, Mick, and the list is endless. Major Hank, original YT name, Super Spurs, you name it. Anyone follow me on Twitter, give me a shout. And please, if there is an ad link, I ask you nicely, please click on it. And who knows, Google, please accept it. Thank you very much. And always, come on, you Spurs.